All right, hello everybody. Doug here with the LincolnList.com. This is the stock market weekly review for the 11th of January. Hope everything got off to a really good start for you here in 2016. The market might be splitting at the seams and unraveling, but for us, it was an incredible week. Over 13% in account gains in just the first week of January. If you're confused about this market, you're not sure where it's going, you've never seen a bear market territory before, you have no idea how to act in this kind of situation, these are some of the very best opportunities you will ever see in your life. So if you don't know how to maximize it, you're looking to gain the edge, visit the LincolnList.com. Take a 14-day free trial. So let's talk a little bit about this market. It appears as if everybody was just kind of waiting until the beginning of the year to start unloading these positions hand over fist. We've seen a pretty good sell-off, and it didn't just start at the beginning of the year. There were a couple of days there as we approached the last few days of the year. In 2015, we started to see some of that selling, and really since that, with China overhanging, it just created a great format there, template, for this market to sell down a little bit more. Now, in a situation like this, when you see the market going down several days at a time, everybody is thinking about dip buying. When is this rally going to come? And if you're following me on social media, one of the things I've been saying that the market has yet to do is it has yet to flush. If you go back, and when I'm talking about flush, if you go back to August, this is a flush where the market sold off, and just that one day, it just drops 1,000 points. And some people ask, why do you need this? You need to shake everyone out, because the panic flush, that quick drop, those are the kind that create the opportunity, the most opportunity. This grind off selling, it's just, one after the other over and over again, and these are trendy. Like if you look at the intraday chart I have here of the SPY on Friday, this is just a trendy sell-off, and these are the ones that last longer. These are the dips that you're trying to buy that hurt the most. It didn't get until late in the session did we see any, and I wouldn't even really call this real panic. It would be nice if this was just one or two bars, but this is where the selling started to accelerate with some volume. So let's take a look at what we might see here. In my opinion, and I could be totally wrong here, if you're looking for a considerable area, a solid area where the market can build from, I would have to look back here to the next area of support, which is roughly the latter part of September. It's around 180, let's say 186 to 187, in that area. That would be a great spot if this thing would just flush early on Monday and get down into that level. I would be much more aggressive with my stance about picking up some of these stocks that have been butchered. I mean, certainly we know at some point you're going to see a rally, whether it's temporary or it lasts a few days. With this many selling, it's in the cards. But you also, not just statistically, but you need to have the setup to go with the statistics to really tie those two things together. That's how traders do it. So I think we need to get down into this level, because if it just bounces, if it were to bounce right here, if we look back in the chart, we don't have a lot of support areas, at 190. So you got to kind of look for something that's a little bit more solid. The further we go back in time, or the more important the support level, the more important it will be in this case. And I think that's 187s. And if that goes, then possibly 183s. But I think we'll get a good bounce in there sometime. To me, it doesn't really make a difference. I guess the point I'm saying, for a trader, as I said at the beginning of this, many of you are seeing possibly a bear market for the first time, and this is a very important time for you. If you're not, I'm not saying this is you, but maybe you're not prepared for something like this. And if you intend on staying in the game, you're going to have to go through periods like this. That's why they have things that are called bear markets, because the market works in cycles. So yes, it's bullish, yes, it's bearish, but sometimes when we start out in the bear market, or we start out in the bullish market, and we'll go for years and we think this is always how it's going to work, and then all of a sudden it changes, and you don't have a strategy, you don't have a plan for this kind of environment. So make sure that you at least have that something. You have something, otherwise you're just going to get smoked, and all the good work that you've done is going to be gone. So let's kind of look for those levels. 187s, possibly 182s. We'll let the market decide. Right now, what it's actually been doing, it hasn't, like I said, it really hasn't flushed out. Most of the time, we've been starting out the day with a gap down. Then it starts to build up early in the morning. Then it begins to sell off the rest of the day. I'm kind of looking for at least that pattern to change as we move forward. Now, as we look at some stocks, if bullish is your thing, one of the best ways to do this is you want to look for the stocks that have maintained relative strength in such a terrible environment. And I think one of these is Solar City. And this is just based on the way it has been performing, where other stocks have just been obliterated. This thing is still kind of holding up and consolidating right here around the 20 moving average. So in the event we see a strong rally that lasts the entire day, these are the first names I'm going to go to look for my longs. I want to go with the ones that were already strong or relatively strong in a weak tape, and I want to look to take advantage of those rather than buying the worst possible stock on the planet. Now, it might turn out to be the worst possible stock, but this Solar City, doesn't look too bad here, especially if it starts perking up over the 10 moving average, which is $50.55. Again, if a strong market comes by, I'm not sitting here saying, hey, I need a strong market to survive. I don't need a weak market to survive. If the market plays in that direction, this is the viewpoint of a trader. If the market plays in that direction, I have a plan. I'll go to something like a Solar City. If it doesn't, I'm not interested. So Solar City, if that's your thing, kind of look there, see if we have a strong day, we get a bounce in there. This could be a very, very strong play from start to finish in that. Now, on the other hand, this WTW could possibly be setting up for a very, when I say short term, I'm talking about day trade buy, just for a trade. I was so bearish on this company, and it's going to be hard for me to want to take this trade anyway because of my bias is so loaded like it is with a GoPro. But this thing really got this thing got butchered on Friday. 24%. I mean, most of you know the story. Oprah gets involved. The company was garbage before she gets involved. Then she gets involved. It's still the same company, but with her name on it, she creates this incredible rally where the stock goes from like $5 all the way to $26, and it's finally, people are finally realizing what they got themselves into. So it's no surprise it's selling off. It's probably going to end up getting back down into in single digits within the next few months. That's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. But what I do like is the thick selling that you had. I got this little area I'm kind of looking at where it's sitting. This is 14 and a quarter. The only way this trade is going to work for me is it's going to have to flush. Like I said, for the SPY, shake everyone out, stop them all out, get everyone out. If this thing will start the day with just a big flush, a big sell-off, that's the only trade I'd be looking. If it doesn't do that, I'm not interested in trading this thing at all, period. But you do have a lot of selling. Again, not a whole lot of flushing in this one either. The selling was methodical. So hopefully you guys kind of, if you're new, you kind of understand what I'm talking about. This little slow selling, these trend selling or these grind down selling, these things last longer. You need big panic. You need big reds to come into this chart and shake everyone out. That's when stocks bounce the most violently. So I'll be looking for that. Again, it's going to have to set up in that, it's going to have to really set up well in order for me to do it. But you got a pretty big haircut on this thing today, on Friday, so it could possibly, if the day begins with some fear in this name, it's definitely something we want to look at for a bounce. And on the other side, I want to put this WBMD. This was a good trade for us on Friday. It's one of my better type of trades. This one was just on range alone. This thing had literally made a move from about 45.50 all the way up to 54, virtually nonstop over a 2-day period of time in this market. So the kind of the writing was on the wall there. It's just looking for the right spot, and we got into it, added a couple of feelers in there, and finally here you get a nice little breakdown. I still think there's room in it. When you look at this thing, you go back in its daily chart, you do not have very many days that have this back-to-back days that have this much. I know it's not when you look in terms of percentage and you look at the price of the stock. It's not the largest thing you ever seen, but in this case for this stock in its normal daily range, it is. This was a pretty big move, and I still think there's some room for this thing to get back down into the lower 50s where it'll probably settle in for a while. So I'd be looking to take advantage of that, especially if, where we were looking for a big flush on WTW, perhaps the market begins with a gap up and starts ripping to the upside, and you get that, instead of flushing down, you're actually ripping to the upside. Then this is something that might go parabolic, which is ripping, going to the upside, and it'd be something that could be a very, very nice short setup. So there's a couple of ideas that will kind of get you going into money. A couple of my thoughts. Hey, whether they mean anything or turn out to be anything, that's one thing. As always, we trade the market. We trade what's in front of us. I can't predict the future just as well as anyone else. So if you're sitting there right now and you're confused, you don't know where to go, or you're worried that this bear market might last the entire year and you don't have a plan for that, or you're just looking to get better as a trader, take a moment, take a 14-day free trial to our live trade room. Trade right there in front of, right there with us, live on screen every day. Learn from our community. As always, thanks for watching this video, and I will talk to you soon.